We are an occult organization. We're working behind the scenes to manipulate the way that people think. The war that we are waging is a guerrilla war on the human mind. And we use musical frequencies, the dominant frequency, which I've referred to before, and symbolism and imagery to awaken dormant aspects of the human mind. And what we're waging is a cultural war right now on every front, in music, in literature, utilizing the media against itself. And we're using music because that's the instrument that young people respond to right now.
I know this video is stating the obvious, but it's always good to hear it from the horse's mouth, even though that's not enough for most people. People don't want to accept things like this because they might actually have to go out and develop a personality of their own, not one socially engineered by the entertainment system. I know sometimes life can be boring and we want things to distract us. Just be careful what type of stuff you consume, because as much as your mind knows it's just entertainment, your subconscious doesn't know that. And just ask yourself, do you really know what they're putting into these things?
One thing my grandma always told me, if you sleep, you are already in the bed. Somebody call you, want you to come outside and do something, this and that, don't do it. Don't nothing happen good past 10 o'clock.
We live in a world designed to make you fat, sick, and miserable. You might say, well, why would sodium, which has no calories, make people fat? Even though it's an essential nutrient in small amounts, in excess quantity, it's associated with hypertension, and not to mention obesity. Think about it. You take a tablespoon of it, it's an emetic. It'll make you throw up. If you take enough of it, it'll kill you. It's because sodium stimulates what's called passive overeating. So if you eat till you're full of anything, say brown rice, you just eat till you reach your satiety, you don't want any more. Everything else being equal, salt that rice up and eat till you're full, you'll eat more before you feel satisfied. And people say, yeah, because it tastes better. But that's what tasting better means. It means it results in more dopamine stimulation in the brain. So your brain is going to get fooled with salt. And if you take some foods, like for example, bread, the staff of light, 1,500 calories a pound before you turn it into a butter boat and spread coagulated cow pus all over it, and you remove the salt, oil, sugar, and yeast, what do you get? It's called matzah, and it's punishment on Passover. Nobody's getting fat eating matzah, but they're certainly having trouble with bread and bread-related products. The wheat and the water become a carrier agent for these chemicals. Take beef, boil it, and gnaw on it. Do you like plain boiled beef? Not so much. It's a carrier agent for the sauces, the salt, the things that it's carrying to the palate. So we're using ultra-processed foods as carrier agents for these chemicals, and that's why we're in trouble. 70% of the calorie of the average person is ultra-processed foods. And we haven't even talked about the chemicals and other things besides the salt, oil, and sugar. The emulsifiers, the other things that are thought to affect gut microbiome, etc. So the natriuretic effect of fasting is a kind of rebooting effect that gets rid of the sodium. People will lose several pounds of fluid a day early on in fasting just because their body's been holding on to this in order to buffer the effect of sodium.
Oh, Michael Jackson was exposing the music industry about how the songs that you sing are like a mantra and it gets absorbed and you start to turn or act like that song. Oh, tell me more. Michael Jackson tried to expose how songs are like an actual programming, same as things on the television, how it can program you into doing things or saying things or thinking things a certain way. Same with the music that you consume. It can actually alter your brain chemistry and how you act and do things. Oh, goody. This is also along the lines of hypnosis and suggestibility, and it can actually make you do things you don't really want to do, but now it's in your subconscious mind, and it kind of makes you do those things without you even realizing it. Oh, fun! So be careful with the next songs that you listen to. Okay.
Shit's getting weird. Part infinity. Oh, hell no. Look, listen. I don't go to a lot of baseball games. I've been to a few, right? And I've watched some on TV, whatever. Baseball's not really my sport. But I do understand baseball etiquette. Like if I ever went to a game and this happened to me, I understand the etiquette, right? All the baseball fans, y'all tell me if I'm right or wrong. If a ball goes up in the stands and it's bouncing around and nobody has a hold of the ball, it's fair game. If a nigga from the other side of the fucking stands runs over there and gets it before anybody, the next person does, it's his ball, right? Now, the caveat to that is if he gets it and takes it away from the kid, you got to give it to the kid. Don't be an asshole. Right? Unless the kid's like 17 and a half, turning 18. Fuck that little nigga. Y'all let me know in the comments. Is that baseball fans? That's baseball etiquette, right? I feel like he shouldn't have gave the ball back. And she was wrong for going up there complaining about this, that, and third. You weren't quick enough. Sorry.
I found out a teacher let my son put a dress on. I would be mad as all get up. I don't want my son, because my son, this is what you wear, this is what your sister wears. And this is my opinion, and that's fine. But I don't want my son wearing a dress. When you get 18 and you want to wear a dress and you get out the house, you put a dress on.
What would you do if you find you had a transgender child?
Transgender when you get out the house?
No, this is not a matter of choice.
You know what?
This is not a matter of choice.
I'm his mother. He will not be wearing a dress. I just don't know if people think.
I absolutely love that. She says and The View wants to argue all the different cultural time things, and this woman is saying something so simple, so easy, something I grew up with, but now it's changed. When you're in my house, boys, you wear boy clothes, and girls, you wear girl clothes. Boys don't wear dresses. And I also I would be down at that school if they put my boy in a dress down at the school. In the same way, I'd be down there if they were teaching them things that the culture wants to teach them that is not for them to teach. You teach school stuff. You don't teach politics. You don't teach all this weird sexual stuff out there to my 8-year-old, my 10-year-old, my 12-year-old. No, that's not your responsibility. And parents, we need to learn to push back on that stuff. But we also need to make sure that we know, my boy, this is what a boy does, this is what a girl does. And I'm telling you, it keeps them from being confused.
They keep us preoccupied with so much. It's almost like we're a race of people with amnesia. Ever so often, you'll hear about somebody who has this supernatural ability. They'll do a brain scan, and they're able to use an extra 0.5 of a percentage of their brain. Imagine where your senses would be if you didn't have to worry about making money, about paying bills. If you didn't have to grind so hard, where would your senses be? Human freedom is a direct enemy to the control structure. Throughout history, we've heard stories about certain tribes of people who just completely disappeared. There's a group called the Anasazi. The Anasazi is a whole tribe, a whole group of people who disappeared. No one knows where they went. There was food still left on the tables. It's almost as if everyone disappeared at one time. I believe this group was able to transcend and reach a certain level of consciousness and travel to a different dimension. We just seen at congressional hearings in America from UFO whistleblowers, Rep. Luna doesn't call them aliens. She says extra dimensionals. Retired FBI agent John D'Souza, who ran the FBI's X-Files program, he has a book called The Extra Dimensionals. It's my belief that these aliens and demons are pretty much non-human time travelers who can go in and out of dimensions, and some of them feed on the fear and anxiety and the despair of the human condition.
What they never talk about is why people aren't having enough children. A lot of it is because economically, they feel like they cannot afford to. Part of the problem in Western societies is we've told women that being a mother is not as fulfilling as working in a Fortune 500 company. Most of the happiest people I know are women with children, truly.
Is the social security card still the best we can come up with? It's 2025, we have AI robots delivering packages. Somehow still the federal government's like, hey, you know that ticket stub we gave you? You haven't lost that, right? It's that piece of paper we gave you when you were, 30 minutes old. And when I say paper, I mean paper. It is the only thing in my life I've ever thought, you know what? I would like this laminated. And it's for our identification. The government's like, hey, little buddy, I want you to hold on to this forever.
Let's talk about Tate McRae. Here we see her throwing up the eye symbolism as well as it looks like a 666. Of course, Tate herself would reply and say, y'all are crazy, it's just an okay symbol with my hands. Here we see more one-eye symbolism. I also think people aren't realizing the answers are right in front of us. Her tour is titled the Mispossessive Tour. It also looks like she's restrained, like hypothetically she's being controlled. Going back to the name of the tour, the Mispossessive Tour, ironically enough, the tour being called the Mispossessive Tour, and Tate McRae would do a Q&A at some point in the last couple years talking about her paranormal experiences. Roll the clip.
Sensitive to energies. Maybe I'm just too open to all of that stuff, but I swear to God, every single time I'm in, I get possessed.
She would also go on in that same Q&A to talk about her current boyfriend and how they'll fall asleep on the phone with each other. She then goes on to state that she wakes up 3, 4, 5 times in the night screaming because of the nightmare she's experiencing, which is quite ironic because these are all signs of what you would call hypothetical possession. Last but not least, here's a clip from her tour intro that she dropped, I guess before she toured, that I found interesting. Roll the clip. Not only does this possibly allude to her being completely controlled like some people say celebrities are, but it was announcing the Mispossessive Tour and we see multiple cuts to her throwing up more one-eye symbolism. All I'm saying is it really makes you think. Wake up.
Why are we sending messages from the year 8000?
Maybe because we are going to destroy ourselves.
We didn't destroy ourselves if we're sending messages back that are, 6,000 years in the future.
Must have gotten bad enough here for us to come back and try to warn ourselves.
Instead of sending these really cryptic messages from the year 8000, how about just say, hey, motherfuckers, you did something wrong and this is what it was. Instead, we got to go eyes of my eyes. Now, what does that mean? Eyes of my eyes. I'll tell you what, if I know shit's going to go down and I take off with aliens, I'm going to send you a very clear message. Here's how this can be avoided. Take vitamin C. Be nice to everyone.
Don't touch cats. They carry disease.
Everyone, it is the cats.
Bruh, did we just step back in 2021? Because for the first time in years, there are more people out of work than there are jobs available. They said the job market was strong, right? They told us that the companies were hiring, right? They also said that the economy was steady, but that's all a lie. The government report just flipped that all upside down. Everything that I just said that they said was up is down. There are 7 million job openings in the US right now, but there are over 7 million people waiting for jobs to get them. So essentially that means it doesn't matter how hard you grind because you got other people trying to fill out for that same spot. If you have a job right now, keep it. I know the job might stress you out. I know you might hate that job, but do not leave that job. Don't let them fire you for nothing until you get something else that's on the table that's a for sure, definite, possible job for you. Because y'all, it's hard as hell. It's one thing trying to find a job, and then it's another, even with that job, it's not even doing shit to help you for real. It's sad enough that one job is not cutting it in this economy, and people can barely get that one job. Are we going into a recession or some shit? Because like I said, The hiring process has slowed down, and now they are laying people off at that. History do always repeat itself, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down below in the comments.
Why is this in your food? Banana cream pie was baffling to me. I swear to God, this has 60 ingredients. Vegetable oil, soybean and palm oil, mono and diglycerides, yellow 5, yellow 6, soybean oil, titanium dioxide. It's banned in Europe, by the way. The European Food and Safety Authority, which is leaps and bounds ahead of what the U.S. is doing for food safety, found it, quote, no longer safe to eat, based on hundreds of scientific studies showing that it has genotoxic effects, meaning that it has the ability to damage your DNA to the point of leading to cancer.
But now we understand that fiat money is basically what Bitcoin is. It's not backed by anything, but it's also basically what the U.S. dollar is, because what has happened since 1971 and Richard Nixon, there's no gold backing the dollar anymore. So now when we're talking about, these $1 trillion stimuluses because of the pandemic, genuinely just a guy like you said on a ledger on a computer just wiring, that's not real money. He's just putting numbers, $3 trillion into another bank account in the Federal Reserve
in a room somewhere,
and then and then we just send it out to the people, and the post office picks up the letters.
Let's talk about the new Conjuring movie. Here we see the well-known one-eye symbolism that we all know well from Hollywood. Of course, we see an upside-down cross as part of the logo. Here we see some of the characters screaming, inverted, and it looks like the devil. Mind you, there was literally somebody in a movie theater who people claim that he was literally possessed by this movie. Now, I'm not saying that that's an absolute fact and definitely happened. I'm not saying it couldn't be some weird way to advertise the movie. We also have reports of priests that are waiting outside the movie and praying for people before and after they see it, and it really begs the question. Was watching supernatural and extremely demonic movies like this, or the new movie Him that's coming out, maybe open doors that we can't see? Over the last few days, I've read a bunch of stories online of people who've watched supernatural movies like this. Some of them even say that things followed them home or started happening in their home. There are also people like me and you who spend a lot of time watching like real paranormal documentaries about some of these cases. Those same people have also reported a similar phenomenon, that something followed them home or they were haunted from that moment on. Quite simply, the eyes are the window to the soul. We've always been told that. Is it possible that these dark energy type of movies are more powerful than we know? Wake up.
Every single person with blue eyes is technically related, as scientists find that all blue-eyed bastards descend from one singular person. My brothers and sisters. So according to research, 10,000 years ago, everyone on Earth had brown eyes. So naturally, researchers at the University of Copenhagen wanted to figure out where things went wrong. I mean, where did things change? They found that blue eyes seem to have come from a genetic mutation from a singular human who lived between 6 and 10,000 years ago. And the reason they believe that it all links back to one common ancestor is because every single person with blue eyes has the same mutation. Thought that the mutation could have spread when humans migrated from Africa to Europe.
I am becoming more and more anti-Amazon every single day. I canceled my Prime membership over a year ago. So happy I did. I shop so much less. I went on Amazon today to order a car charger. We just got our first electric car and I need a charger that's compatible. I go on there and it says, hey, do you want to sign up for Prime? Because if you don't, you're going to pay $19 in shipping, and here's how much you've paid for shipping in the past year. And I said, no, I don't want to sign up for Prime. And so I continue to go through with my purchase, and then I get to the shipping portion, and wouldn't you know it, I scroll down and Amazon had automatically selected for me to get my product on Sunday, which is 3 days from now, which costs $19 for shipping. But if I continue to scroll down, I could select to get my product a week from today, and that shipping was still free. Still free shipping. And so I completed that purchase, and I went and I tested this out on another product, random product. Wouldn't you know it, same exact thing happened. It told me, you know what, you're gonna have to pay for shipping. Don't you want to sign up for Prime? Continued through, almost completed the purchase until I got to a place where I could continue scrolling down and I could select free shipping and just wait a week. Amazon, what is up? You're automatically selecting shipping even when it costs $20 instead of automatically signing us up for waiting a week to get free shipping. The most anti-customer obsessed thing I've ever heard. Most anti-customer obsessed thing I've ever heard. Do not pay for shipping, you don't have to. Don't sign up for Prime, you don't have to. It's a scam.
Why did ESPN put the Osaka quarterfinals match behind an additional paywall? I have been watching the US Open all for the last 2 weeks on Hulu. Okay? I have been watching uninterrupted. I watched Coco and Naomi. I've been watching all of Taylor Townsend games. I have been locked in. And I have been waiting for Naomi's game to start, the quarterfinals. Nope. The women's quarterfinals. Mind you, the earlier game, the earlier women's quarterfinals was also on the Hulu, because I have the Hulu plus the ESPN plus with the Disney plus. Mind you, all the other matches are still available to watch. This is the only game that is behind a paywall. An additional paywall. All the rest of them, the press conferences, all the other games, all the other matches are still available to watch. That is the only one that you cannot watch without the additional paywall.
Okay, so somehow I fell back down the underground city rabbit hole, and this man was talking about how there are underground cities throughout the world. They're connected via tunnels, and the fact that they have actually existed way longer than any structure above ground because they've been able to survive so many cataclysms that have happened on Earth. And he was talking about the fact that the way that these tunnels all connect is by this amazing train setup called the MAG-LEVE train, and they have alleged patents for these trains. And right now, even in Japan, they have something called the MAG-LEVE train, and it goes about 300 miles per hour. Look at this video.
Damn.
And that's not AI, that's actually right now. And if you look it up, MAG-LEVE trains, they allegedly have these patents, but if this is what they're showing above ground, imagine if there were these underground cities and they were connected via tunnels using these trains, just how fast they could go, especially if we did not have access to that type of technology, because they wouldn't allow us to know about magnetic levitation, because then you wouldn't need fossil fuels or any kind of coal, all of the things that we typically work so hard to have access to. And in that regard...
So once I realized, like, yo, the DNA in this fruit is communicating with the DNA in my body and activating genes from the sun. First of all, my body, which has melanin in it, is absorbing sunlight. With that sunlight, it's actually activating my genes through mitochondrial DNA. I'm like, yo, I gotta get closer to the sun. I gotta get closer to the real world. Then I start looking at my reality. I seen the squares everywhere. I remember watching The Matrix, and I remember the grid. Everybody talking about the grid. And it hit me one day like, yo, it's squares everywhere. Squares. They spell everything in square feet. Your phone is a square. Your laptop is square. Your iPhone is square. Everything is square. The TV's a square. Your bed is a square. Your picture frames, they're square. The doors are square. The tiles are square. Everything is square. And I look out in nature, I'm like, there's no squares in nature.
That's what they say.
No. Yo, we're living in the grid. The grid is squares. We build everything in squares.
Our house.
They built their world on top of nature, and they're going against nature. Our lower self is going against its very own nature. And how long are we going to do this? With sickness and everything that happens in the consequence of being out of tune with what you are, which is God, happens. It's in the squares.
Jimmy, someone that has been watching Mr. Beast for the better half of 6 years, you cannot convince me that Jimmy Donaldson was not murdered and replaced by a skinwalker, because who is that? He's been out of touch for years, and I'm aware of that. But once I heard that he had his potential girlfriends fill out questionnaires, interview forms, I knew something was up. I just saw a clip of Aiden Ross and XQC on their live stream saying Free Palestine and Mr. Beast silent, which is not surprising at all because he is a rich, straight white man, and they tend to sway, you know, that way. As a former super fan, and yes, that's like embarrassing to admit now, but when I was 15, 16, I really loved this guy's content. I wore his sweatshirt all the time in high school. Like, I did not play about this man. This is not the same guy. It's not. I don't know if the veneers got to his fucking head. I don't know what the fuck happened, but this is someone.
Have you ever had a guest where you thought, this person might be acting on behalf of an intel agency?
Got a couple of them. I just did a really good interview with this guy, Blaram Scoro, who was an asset. He got recruited in prison by the CIA right after 9/11 to make friends with all of the terrorists that were in there. And then when he got out of prison, agency gets back in touch with him and said, hey, you're going to use this network. Your cover is going to be you're building a Al-Qaeda cell in Macedonia. And so he would set up shop in Macedonia, and he would go into Pakistan and go into Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, Iran, Russia, all these places. He didn't meet specifically with bin Laden, but he's like one step away.
That's so dangerous job.
No kidding, man. So then he has an assassination attempt. CIA cuts him. Then he started telling me about getting uranium out of Russia. I said, well, what are they going to do with these? And he said that they wanted to get him into the U.S. and it would kill 500,000 people. But it didn't really fit in the interview. Like, we're talking about all these other things.
I don't trust this for a second.
And then all of a sudden we get to Russia. And so I just called him right there on the interview. I was like, you know what goes through my mind? When's the last time you had contact with CIA?
That's exactly what I was just thinking.
And he said,
January 2022, 6 or 7 January.
Like, knew the exact date and got really flustered. I said, you know what goes through my head is what if somebody contacted you knowing you were coming on the show to say that you were getting uranium to Al-Qaeda to sneak into our country to blow us up? A lot of people want to see us go to war with Russia.
Sean, if it's like that, you saw the story. You see me. I don't hide what I can do.
It was almost like, shit, I lost my opportunity to insert this into the interview, so now I got to swing for the fence and just drop it. And it just immediately clicked in my brain.
What if they got in contact with you to tell me that in this show?
Never.
To drive a narrative?
Never. I never plan to come in your show.
Well, there's a lot of higher-ups that want us at war.
I wanted to say that out loud, because if they're watching, and they probably are, then they know that I know that I'm a target.
Golden Mewtwo card from, was it Burger King that was in the Pokeball? Remember those?
Yeah.
They had a Togepi and a Mewtwo.
I
have the Mewtwo ones.
Happy Meals were what, like $5 back then, dude? That's an easy flip, dude. They should have kept all of that shit. When I was walking around this store, I was just like, oh, I used to have that. And my girlfriend,
that's $200?
She was like, why is it $8,000? And I'm like,
that's how physical things work.
Dude, it's insane. And like, it sucks that everything's digital.
Dope shirt.
The nostalgia's not going to be there.
Magic the Gathering, Alpha Booster Pack.
Yeah.
If you have a booster pack from Alpha, it's literally $40,000 for a booster pack of the original Magic set.
Dude, it's fucking nuts.
So if you buy 2 lottery tickets, your chances are twice as high as if you buy 1 lottery ticket.
Okay,
Right.
so that feels real good, but ask yourself,
Great.
what was the probability of the first ticket winning? If it's 1 in 100 million, so now your chances are 2 in 100 million. Okay, so your tombstone will much more likely say struck and killed by lightning than won the Powerball lottery.
I am really starting to get irritated with streaming services. Now Thursday Night Football is on Peacock. Wasn't it just on Prime last year? Pretty soon on Sundays, now a game's going to be on Peacock, Paramount, Netflix, HBO, you name it. You're going to have every single streaming service just to watch an NFL game. Like, come on. This is just like a money grab. Not only that, but streaming services keep raising their prices every single year. Ugh! And to top it all off, NFL Red Zone is now owned by ESPN, which is going to have commercials. What is going on? I'm crashing out.
He looks like a demon.
Yeah, and he says, I can't fly. I have to fly private because I can't have demons in the tube with me. So he's calling people demons. That's Kenneth Copeland. And so we had a great showdown on his property. It's in the series. And so
What happened?
So he has a 19,000 square foot parsonage.
What's a parsonage?
A parsonage is a house owned by the church. So it's bought and paid for by donor dollars and tithe givers, and the pastor can live there. The purpose of this is, hey, back in the day, clergy would live on site, right? That door would be open 24 hours a day for someone to come in, get prayer, in the Catholic world, repent. And so that pastor would need to be on site all the time. And so they would build what's called a parsonage right next to the church. So the pastor could live in this very modest house that's usually attached physically to the church. Well, over decades and just through precedent, that parsonage has been pulled off. And so the church will pay for the parsonage of the pastor. So the parsonage is owned by the church, but the pastor can live in it. There's no stipulation on how big that parsonage can be, how extravagant it can be. So Kenneth Copeland has a 19,000 square foot parsonage on the lake on his church property.
Tax-free.
His church property. So this is the story about Kenneth. Kenneth, what most people don't know, was a struggling musician back in the day. He became a pilot and started flying Oral Roberts around. Oral Roberts is like OG evangelist. He's like one of the first old school big boys in the space, similar to Billy Graham. And so the story goes that Kenneth Copeland was flying over Texas and saw this runway next to this lake. And God gave him this vision that he was going to buy this whole parcel and turn it into a church and turn it into what he calls the revival capital of the world. So flash forward, he creates this marketing pitch, starts his church. And back in the day, in the 60s and 70s, mailers were super popular.
Spent the last 2 months building the tallest treehouse in the world. It's insane. Look at this. Look at this. There's
What a
leaf
cool
cutter
little
ants.
treehouse.
Little. It takes like 10 minutes to walk up there.
That's badass.
Yeah, apparently it's the tallest treehouse in the world. I just slept up there for one night, and in the morning, I couldn't believe what I saw. It's in the middle of the Amazon now, and we got solar
So how many
panels
feet
on
up
there.
is it?
I think the floor is about 110 feet up. We had to figure out, like, how do you even build a stair? The staircase was half the project. How do you build a staircase to get up to the top of this tree?
It's amazing. And how long did it take to build this thing?
A couple months. Took like 3 months.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's it?
God, I want to go.
That's beautiful. Yeah, there it
The
is.
solar panels?
Look at that.
That's incredible. So you get
Yeah.
electricity up there? That's fucking badass.
Yeah.
And so you have solar panels. Like, how are you running that?
Well, one of the guys on my team, he put solar panels, hot water, a bathroom. So this isn't just a treehouse. This is like a luxury treehouse.
A bathroom? Like
Yeah,
running
no,
water?
a shower.
Whoa.
I
so
left there to come here.
You sleep there when you're there? That's your spot?
Yeah, me and my girlfriend just slept up there, and we woke up, and it was like what they tell you in the rainforest books. It was like there's like 3 species of monkeys, like 15 different species of birds. There was things just moving all over the place. It is wild. It's a whole other world. It's wild. And we put it like right in the middle of the 50,000 acres.
Antha Fuller, whose father, Graham Fuller, was a huge CIA guy who's architected their Mideast policy. She married this guy, Rusli Tsarnaev. His nephews are the guys who did the bombing. That's odd that a CIA family, this woman, married Rusli Tsarnaev, his nephews, who were traveling back and forth to Dagestan, and the FBI had no idea who they were.
9/11 as an event triggered 7 wars in 5 years. Iraq, 4.7 million people dead, $1 trillion of money spent. Regardless of how it happened, it can be manufactured by creating so much hate in the hearts of someone so that they commit such horrible act. Or it can be manufactured, as now speculated, in-house, an agency that is interested in a Pearl Harbor sort of event. It seems that Pearl Harbor could cultivate people to support the war. The objective of the current wars around the world is war itself. War itself is, a perpetual war, is perpetual money being earned.
Who benefits?
The lenders and the industry.
But they can't make the decision to go to war.
There are lots of doubts around why do we really go to war? And the story is always democracy and freedom, and we're here to make the world better. Boil the truth to its simplest form. Remember 1984 and the Orwellian approach of freedom is slavery and war is peace, to convince people that going to war in another country to kill 4.7 million people is freedom. We're going there to free the Iraqi people. To tell someone that you're going to kill 300,000 women and children is for liberty, for human values. Seriously, how do we ever get to believe that? Humans, because we're gullible, we cheer up and we say, yeah, we're on the right side. They are the bad guys. War is decided first. Then the story is manufactured.
If we had to go to war with China, I think we'd be surprised on how outgunned we are. You're talking about a crazy budget, but putting out 5 ships? Who knows what China really has underneath their sleeve? Area 51 can only produce so much technology that we don't know about. Drone warfare, I think that's like a scary thing right now. And I know China's like big into technology, the computer chips. And I had seen recently they had this one, a mothership. It was this big flying ship that thousands of mini drones that can fly over so many miles. And I think we have a skilled military who's, accustomed to fighting in war. There's not a lot of countries out there that have been fighting the way, I mean, you have like the Middle Eastern countries and stuff like that. They've been fighting for thousands of years.
Let me break this down for you. Most people don't even realize electric vehicles are a threat to everyone's safety. Because if people actually knew what's put inside each of them, no one would purchase electric cars again. Because psychologically, we've been conditioned to believe that electric vehicles are the future of freedom and new technology, as if swapping gas for a battery plug makes you more sophisticated. Because the truth is, every electric vehicle is powered by a massive lithium-ion battery, where if it overheats, it can trigger a chain reaction and set the entire car into flames. And because these vehicles all run on computer software, they're vulnerable to being hacked and can ignite the battery to self-explode. Which means this was never about innovating transportation. It's about building the perfect weapon for mass fear and control.
Why is your light bill looking like a damn mortgage payment? Let's talk about it. So every month you're opening that envelope or that email that shows you that your electricity bill is climbing higher and higher. Now I'm gonna tell you something right now. It's not because you suddenly started running a nightclub in your living room. And it's not because you left the lights on for too long. It's because the system is charging you more for the exact same electricity you've been using all along. Rates in some places have jumped as much as 50%. Families are cutting back, running on only the bare minimum. No extra. No waste, and still getting hit with $400, $500, $600 or more electricity bills. That's not your fault, y'all. That is the system squeezing you dry. And see, this is the kicker. These utility companies are not run like utility companies anymore. Private equity has slid right on in, y'all, treating our lights and air conditioning like it's just another hustle for profit. So between your grocery bill, your electricity bill, your car insurance, every essential that you have to pay now is a cash grab for rich people. And you're just left broke, tired, and wondering how you're supposed to survive. But don't miss this part, y'all. This was just summer. We ain't even hit winter yet. So if you think you're tapped now, just wait until that cold come creeping in for winter. Because when the system is designed to just take, the bills only go in one direction, baby. And that is up. And let me tell you something. The machine is going to tell you it's market rates and supply costs. No, that's a lie. It's about greed. And if you're not tired yet, just keep watching while billionaires line their pockets with your paycheck.
Oh, some leaked information just came out saying that we are communicating with 3i Atlas, the 12-mile-ish long mothership that's heading towards Earth. Tell me
When
more.
is that supposed to come?
Yes, you heard that right. It is confirmed. We are communicating with 3i Atlas, and it is on its way here, and they are not coming here in a friendly way. Oh, fun! That's about all the information that was leaked, but they are confirming that they have actually been on this planet before, and that they have been a part of resetting the planet. Okay. So I'm not sure how we're communicating with them or exactly when they're going to be here, but it sounds like around November. So I wonder if that's why all these people have made these underground bunkers, because they were aware of this information. Okay. They also said that they could get off of our radar anytime to where we wouldn't be able to find them, and then they just show up when they're ready. Oh, fun.
Do not leave your job. I don't care who's influencing you. Now is not the time. This post got 5 million views and 60,000 likes. The US now has more unemployed people than job openings in the first time since April of 2021, which was during the pandemic, which is kind of insane. So people are basically urging people on Twitter to not leave your jobs no matter what, because you're probably not going to get a new one. Right now, I'm just thanking God I'm not just graduating college and I'm unemployed right now. Like, dude, thank God. Some people are actually countering this, saying I left my job in the military, came back and found a better paying job than both, and I used Indeed. The world is going to S doesn't mean have to apply to you. Some people are saying it doesn't work the same for other people because everybody has different degrees, everybody has different skills and stuff, so not everybody's going to be in the same position to get a good job. You should never leave your job without securing another first. That's in any market. Well, some people don't think because they don't have a mind. Yeah, that's why people still have to urge people to not leave your job no matter what. But yeah, what do y'all think in the comments? If you're trying to get a job right now, let me know if it's hard down in the comments.
Comes down to one last play.
Check this out, y'all. This is this year at the Red Zone.
Getting longer by the second.
We all know this
back
play.
at the 30-yard line. Now you can step into it. Here comes the Hail Mary with the game on the line.
Burger King has a deal for all. $5
That's how it's gonna be, y'all.
call. $7 trio, more options for y'all. Which one will you choose?
I started getting annoyed with Howard because he was publicly pissed off because he went to a Knicks game and none of the players recognized him. Now he just sucks off celebrities that are already made, so no one gives a shit, Howard. You're just a part of a public run that everyone has to do when they have a high-powered publicist. I have empathy with him because imagine being the biggest guy in the world and everything under you crumbles.
Right.
Is it true that diaper companies funded research to delay potty training?
Yes. It's called the Pampers Institute. My stepmom became a nurse a couple dozen years ago, and her medical text said that they don't have sphincter control till they're 18 months old. I've helped over 1 million babies do this, okay? I have seen it with my own 6 kids. Babies are born with sphincter control. They will hold it till you get the diaper off. They're born with it. I met this guy, and he worked for Pampers for like 30 years, and he was like, Brazelton, the one who did that study, was the head of the Pampers Institute, and that they did heavily influence the medical texts. They worked together. They continue to work together today. Your pediatrician will tell you, you need to wait till your child says they're ready to potty train. Where did all these messages come from? You follow the money. They came from those big companies.
Jellyfish is the worst pet I've ever seen.
Wow,
Well,
yeah.
you can buy a jellyfish tank. It's like a circular tank. It's just nothing. It's just like having boba tea as a pet. What's the most expensive animal that we could find at the LA Pet Fair? I'm gonna give you number 2 on a platter, and then I want you to guess number 1. The second most expensive animal that we could find at the LA Pet Fair was a zebra foal for $9,500.
What the hell is a zebra foal? What exactly is that?
What?
Is that a zebra?
Yes.
Wait, so it's legal to trade zebra in California?
$9,500. You can buy them on the spot.
Wow.
See, that's the type of shit I don't like. Look at this price, right? $21.99. This little thing, right? Now, let's go over here to this one, right? It says it is $39.99 on sale for $33.99. Now, let's just take a look at the side. You a motherfucking liar. You a motherfucking liar. Like, for real? For real. Like, that's not even, bro.
Yeah, they used to be full to the brim.
That's rocking.
Like when I used to
This
take
one even
protein
fucking
like
works.
that.
What the fuck kind of shit is that?
That's crazy.
This man has spent the last 2 years building an entire town for his pets, and it will blow your mind. It all started with an apartment for his Shiba Inu and cats. But when people saw the excruciating level of detail that Jing put into it, it went viral. I mean, it is so realistic that it makes it look like the cat is the thing that's fake. Bro, he even created an underground den for his hamster, and then inside that, another even smaller room for his spider. What the hell? And so naturally, people wanted more. So Jing started building more, like an elevator, a mini robo-vacuum, a gaming room complete with a
My dogs
sneaker
are
collection,
spoiled.
figurines, and model cars. And yes, this apartment even has running water. He then spent the next 2 months building an underground parking garage for his pets and even added cameras and put Shiba-san as the head of security. But you know what his pets really needed after that? A seaside retreat to get away from the city. So bro built them an entire private island. Not that kind of island. It took him over a month to build, and it comes with real flowing water, a painted horizon, and is themed on how to train your dragon. And thinking a private island was probably a good place to start, he then finds out that Ting Hao was pregnant with 7 kittens. And so he suddenly realized this apartment wasn't big enough for a growing family. So naturally, he started building an entire town. Over the months, he built his pets a spa, a supermarket, yes, with real meat, a bank, a cinema, which took him another 2 months to build because he had to 3D print over 1,000 separate parts. He built him a billiards club, a Meow Donald's, and even copped his hamster a cyber quad and his cats a Cybertruck. But by far, the biggest addition to Cat Town was the working subway station. This took Jing over 4 months to build, and some of the most challenging parts was figuring out how to open the train doors and platform doors simultaneously, and also how to create a working escalator. But of course, he achieved both of them beautifully, and today, Cat Town has affordable transportation. Now, the biggest question he gets asked all the time is why? Why spend all this time and money on your pets like this? Well, he said that it started just as a fun little idea to attract more customers to his wife's pet store, which she recently opened. But then it just spiraled out of control because he loves what he does and it makes his son happy.
I've often said, I have not seen a new graveyard in my lifetime. I've never heard about a graveyard being too full to accept new bodies, too. So you would think that there would have to be a lot of them that would say, nope, no vacancy here. So where are the bodies?
Yeah. I'm in. I'm so in. In a town, like how many cemeteries can you really have before it's like, hey, the town has grown and we need to now bury the people who die here over there somewhere? And like, yeah, what are we doing with all these bodies?
What percentage of people are cremated? 60%.
Whoa, I never would have guessed that.
But still,
that's still 40%.
How many? Look at how many people die in the U.S. a year.
2023. 3 million people roughly.
So there's 1.8 million bodies.
No, that were cremated.
Yeah, 1.2 million bodies are buried.
Per year.
Where? I've never seen a new graveyard.
They're not like, hey, new graveyard, grand opening.
Yeah, no, yeah.
First body.
Which they shouldn't.
I just snorted cocaine or something. I'm so excited. And I never did that before. For the record. For the record. For the record.
Who goes to these? If I was in there, I'd get up and walk out.
How do you go from saying I never did cocaine before and then proceed to sound like you hit a line of coke right before coming to the altar? For the record. For the record. For the record. And I cut my hands on... Now, I'm not accusing Furtick of doing drugs. I hope he's not before you attack me. For the record.
To prematurely evacuate. Are you high?
What? No. He's the one who said I feel like I snorted cocaine.
I feel like I just snorted cocaine or something. I'm so excited. And I never did that before. For the record. For the record.
On cocaine right now.
For the record. For the record.
I'm just coming in agreement with him to say, it sounds like you snorted cocaine,
Yeah.
dude. For the record. If you like content like this, make sure you follow or subscribe now.
The Epstein files. Democrats had the files, didn't release them. Now the Republicans have the files, didn't release them. I mean, I just think it's kind of weird that the left and the right can't work together on other issues, such as giving us amnesty. But they could work together protecting these motherfuckers that are on that list, which is kind of wild.
On both sides.
On both sides. So it's like, any other issue? Ni madres.
Right.
But hey, there's some high-power people on there that I don't think America's ready to see who's on there. You know what I mean? Yeah, we want to know, but it's like, I think somebody behind closed doors is calling shots.
Protests have erupted all over the world, and a lot of them are revolving around one issue, and that's immigration. First, we have Australia, and quite literally all over Australia. Hundreds of thousands of people have all come together to march to end mass immigration, and even the farmers are mad at their prime minister. I mean, he literally got ran out by tractors. Now, this was fueled by a different issue, but still around the same time. We then go to Japan, where some of the busiest streets were flooded with protests against immigration and also against their new program, which received major backlash, to pair 4 Japanese cities with 4 different African countries. The UK also protesting immigration, and I'm sure you've seen some of the clips online, but these are getting fueled by some very controversial stories about asylum seekers. We then go to Indonesia, and I've gotten a lot of messages to cover this because things here are getting violent, but it's about a different issue. People are angry that the government just doesn't really care about them. They're putting their needs ahead of theirs, and now members of parliament are now getting a housing allowance equivalent to $3,000 a month, so they're getting all these lavish perks in times of rising economic hardship. The protests started peaceful, but now they have turned violent. At least 8 people have already lost their lives, including this 21-year-old who was run over by an armored police car, and of course, this fueled the fire. Prayers go out to every single country, and I'll keep you guys updated as we get more information.
A lot of these girls with these like mysterious sources of income who are always on flights, they have the Birkin bags, all of this stuff are just escorts, and you need to have a lot of discernment as a young woman on the internet, especially if you're ambitious, you have goals, because you will unknowingly be idolizing these lifestyles and these women and the posts that they make, not knowing that they earn their money by being an escort. It's definitely a big realization for me as I started to aggressively make more and more money online at a young age, because these women are very, very deceptive. They'll say that they're in fashion, they're in consulting, they're in marketing, all the while you never see them working. You don't ever see them actually doing their job, and their entire page is around material items, getting gifts from men. They have a lot of flowers, always going on trips, they're going to Dubai, first class flight, present themselves in such a classy way, but you'll see subtle hints and subtle like nudges towards what they do in their content. Their entire page is about gifts they receive, money that they get, this lavish lifestyle. They're constantly injecting Botox and lip filler, and they're getting procedures done to their body. They're always on dates. They're always consistently talking about how they hate Brooklyn and they want to provide a man. What do you think they do? Do you really think she just got too many Kellys this month because she works in fashion? No. It's very detrimental to young women who are very ambitious. They want these certain lifestyles for themselves. They're looking online for inspiration because everybody does it. You can't say that you haven't. Every single person does it. They idolize certain things. It's not healthy, but they do. But you'll be looking at this woman's lifestyle. You see what she's doing and you think she's accomplishing it for her own career, her own success, without even knowing that the only reason why she has this lifestyle is because men are funding it through dating. It's just so important that you understand what you're consuming and you're actually looking into these people, because they will plant false expectations in your head and you won't even realize what you're comparing yourself to. It's like you're comparing your goals to the goals of someone who does OnlyFans, except at least with that, you know what you're comparing to. With this, it's deceptive and you don't even realize who you're comparing yourself to. Every single woman is in this profession, but there are so many that are, and they are trying to be sneaky about it, and you need to be very vigilant so that you understand who you're actually following or what you're actually looking up to, because it's very disgusting to think that there are young women, there are young girls looking up to these lifestyles, not even knowing what these women are doing, because it's not from them being in fashion, it's not from them being marketing. You've never seen them work a day in their lives. You know what they're doing, and you don't want to do that, so stop comparing yourself to them.
You are celebrating the engagement of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Let me remind you of this.
Thank you very much, fans. I want to thank my manager, James. I want to thank my producer, Ryan. Shout out all the other nominees in this category. I want to thank my label, 10K Capital, for always supporting me. And of course, God. Without God, none of this would be possible.
Did y'all notice it? Did you see it? Everything else that was said before that, it was claps and cheers and hands up to the sky and shouting to the rooftops. But when the name of Jesus was mentioned, did y'all see the switch? You see, it may be very subtle to the naked eye, but for those of you who are believers, you saw right through it. And this is not just a coincidence. Y'all, don't let me have to tell y'all. This is a woman who represents witchcraft, who does all of the things of love spells and potions and all of the different kind of Wiccan and pagan rituals. So what I am hoping to remind you today is this simple fact, that light and darkness have no fellowship. All the money in the world will not be able to save Taylor Swift on the day of judgment, but may she repent and turn from her wicked ways and find salvation in the one who can, Jesus Christ.
Nicolas Cage was attacked by a swarm of bees while filming a scene for The Carpenter's Son. What I tell you? What did I tell you about playing with the Messiah? Baby, no, you can't do that. He not gonna play with you. He is not going to play with you. The Lord is not going to play with you. They better cancel that thing right now. Wrap it up.
Last night, Indonesian police have officially opened fire on civilians. They did this following instruction of our very own president telling them to seriously act on the so-called anarchist protesters. The authorities cut down the lights in that area. They assaulted journalists who were live streaming. They made sure no one was there to document or to live stream what was about to unfold. They banned TikTok Live, which means they take away our only source of raw, unfiltered, real-time update on what's been happening on the streets. They also restricted national TV from broadcasting or covering about the anti-government protest that's been happening. All this started because the members of the parliament, the ones who are sitting comfortably, have the audacity to dance and joke around while the rest of Indonesia is crumbling with new insane tax policy. With mass layoffs everywhere and an insane new tax policy, most Indonesians are forced to find informal, insecure work in the midst of budget efficiency for education, for healthcare. They have the audacity to announce that they themselves would be increasing their own salary. And they still have the guts to call us the stupidest in the world and to not compare us with them because we are just mere common folks, while they themselves are called House of Representatives or representatives of the people. While all this unfolds, the members of the parliament have stated out a public apology of their arrogance, but have not addressed or give a solution or address the core problem of the situation. Our president has aired out a public statement, also doing the same, just minus the apology. Now the authorities are attacking medics and ambulances, which sends a chilling message that no one is safe. So please don't look away. Please don't stay silent. Please share, help, amplify.
Believe a lot of homeless people are actually possessed by demons because they're in such a state of filth. It doesn't matter what their background is. Any human being that's living in the streets, defecating on themselves, urinating on themselves, they don't shower, okay? And they're spiritually gone, also mentally gone. They become a vessel for the demonic realm. I truly believe this. You see a lot of people say mental illness. Yeah, there's some of that. But I believe a lot of mental illness actually comes from spiritual problems.
Look, I've been saying this for years. I think if Tyler just came out of the closet, I mean, this is a man, you know, his claim to fame was dressing up like a woman.
No, we can't do that. He can't come out of the closet. Because his core audience is the church.
I was going to say that.
Can't do that.
But don't you think by 2025, the church is just a little bit more accepting about this kind of thing?
They've always been accepting about it, but it's always about, you know, just don't let that be the main thing you come in the door with when it comes to the church. In the church, look, the choir directors, you know, there's a queen, this guy.
Right.
People know.
Like, there's no gay people in the black church.
Right. They know. They already, they know. But when you come in the door with that, that will rub them the wrong way. Not to say that you should hide or whatever, but it's just, you know, keeping your private life private. You know?
All right, Tariq. Right now, Tyler Perry announced that he's gay. Would you be shocked at all?
No. It's like when,
okay.
Remember when Tevin Campbell made an announcement? Like, hey guys, guess what? Tevin style.
Well,
I don't say their name.
Say it. We'll beep it.
Okay. And so, you know, even on the botting side, right? It's like,
do you believe that shit's happening?
Oh,
well, I mean, it's happening, but do you believe it's
every single artist that has ever put out a record through a major record label, it doesn't have to be a rapper, it could be a rock band,
right?
All of them, every artist, there is an amount of botted shit.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is these fucking labels have budgets that they work into their marketing budget, and it's I mean, listen, I don't want to say their name.
Say it. We'll beep it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know this for a fact because I'm very close with this guy's team and very close with the person who was running the botting for him and his team.
Oh, okay.
So when you're an artist that's that big and your music comes out, you could really kind of do any amount of numbers and it's never going to get questioned.
You have the clout that it could be real. You're popular enough that it could be this high.
So they forced certain
Like
records,
Arizona legend,
to go like break records, and they knew how much it would cost for X amount of stream.
Have you guys seen this new LeBron James ad? This ad is pure demonic.
They called him the Chosen One. He carried the weight of every expectation on his shoulders. But he never broke. We were all witnesses. Every rival was defeated. Every idol was destroyed. He took the crown and kept it. Behold the greatness. He is the forever king.
If you all can't see the issue with this ad, I don't know what more to add or to even say, because they are calling him the forever king in this ad. There is only one true forever king, and that is Jesus Christ. So this ad right here is pure satanic, and this is very disturbing stuff. And I know I can't be the only one out there that finds this to be disturbing. What do you think?
Who drew it? Who drew it?